Who wants to know how to restore trust? Any relationship, what caused the trust break? We need to be able to find a way to leave what happened in the past. We shouldn't forget is the lesson that we've learned. And we need to find ways to not let that repeat itself. Trust. Who wants to repair trust? Who wants to know how to restore trust? Trust is one of the most often researched topics of how do I repair trust. In a relationship where we are entering in, one of the aspects that keeps us in there or makes us step out is when trust is broken or it's absent. Now, in teamwork, it's so easy. In any relationship, it's so easy for trust to be broken. The question is, how do we repair it? Now, my philosophy in that is we need to identify what caused the trust break. And then we need to find the common goal and ground and motivation that we want to move forward, so that we want to restore trust. Because once we have made the decision that we want to move forward, we need to be able to find a way to leave what happened in the past. And that's often the challenging part. People will say is, I can forgive, but I can't forget. Now that's an interesting topic as well, because forgiving is the hurt. Do we have to forget? It means, yes, I shouldn't be continually bringing it up and keep on digging it up when things happen in the future. What we shouldn't forget is the lesson that we've learned. What caused the breakdown? And then we need to find ways to not let that repeat itself. We need to find constructive ways to implement to not let that happen again. And one of the easiest ways to start repairing the trust is when we acknowledge how we will change our behavior in a respectful way. What am I going to do to not let that whatever happened happen again? And how can I behave in a way that you really feel respected and I really feel respected? And then we start building on that consistently, daily. So how do we repair trust that was broken? We acknowledge it. We learn whatever it was, what happened, and we hear one another. And then we find a way to move forward so that we can consistently, respectfully behave a certain way to not let that happen again. So that we can have the words that we know when there's a moment where the trust somehow could potentially be in jeopardy, that we can have the conversation. We need to be able to address the person to say, when this happens, it feels to me as if I'm not being respected, and that makes it difficult for me to trust you. Now, so it's trust that's got so many layers, and we often tend to look at trust as big things. That there must have been a big event that happened where trust was broken. Where in actual fact, trust has got so many different nuances. When I do not show up on time as agreed, and I continue doing that, I feel that you cannot respect, I don't feel respected, and I can't trust that you're going to keep time. So time becomes an issue. That's where trust starts getting the knocks. What we need to realize is we need to be very specific what our expectations are, specifically in the workplace. What are the expectations? And then we need to make sure that we meet the deadlines. We need to meet the code of conduct of how we work with one another, even if we disagree. What's the culture, and can we stick to the agreements? Because when we do that, we start building the trust, a culture of trust. What could potentially really work well is when you take your team outside of the workspace in a not very loaded situation where we talk about the event, but we actually make them engage in activities where they could work together playfully as a team. And then you build in certain activities so that they have to rely on one another. And then find ways to debrief of how we could start building trust again in a fun way and relate it back. Remember, you're the common denominator as a team. Whether you are in the office space or whether you're outside, you still work with one another. We often want to deal with trust in a different manner. Also where we can heal the team cohesion, having fun together, relying on one another, getting to know one another in a less corporate way, so that when we go into the office, we bring that shared experience back in. So we build the trust and we create space to talk about the things that actually broke trust down and find ways to move around.